Hi, I'm John, and with all the idiots doing YouTube channels today, I figured why shouldn't I? So, I'm going to do one about my car called Das Allroad because, hey, I bought an Allroad, which are known as the least reliable vehicles ever, compared to maybe even some French ones, but I love it. It's fast and fun. Now, the car wasn't quite perfect when it came to me. I mean, it drove home fine, it pulls fine, it's fantastic. However, the nav system in it wasn't quite working right, and there's one or two other little problems I want to fix. One of the big ones is our magic steering wheel here is missing some buttons. This car should have a multifunction steering wheel for controlling the radio and keeping your hands on the wheel at all times. It looks like I can pick one up for about 70 pounds or so. Don't let the accent fool you. I actually live in the UK. Yeah, it's a little bit of a US accent, but you'll get used to it. But the easiest thing, though, to fix right now is the navigation. Now, you can see, if you look around here, navigation is already ajar because I invested in some radio keys. They're basically little slips of pre-cut metal that you pop in the corners and it pops the radio out. I already did that to try and diagnose it when things weren't working right. Basically, I turned it into compass mode to try and figure out what the heck was going on, because it said I was about 200 miles from home, even though it was right next to it. And in the magic of things, it looks like it had no antenna connected to it. Looking behind it, there was an antenna connection, but I guess it wasn't working. So now I bought a generic antenna, and we're going to plug it in and see what the hell happens.
The voluntary transport scheme.
Hi, I'm Etta. The 500 people in Didcot District can't use public transport. They rely on our drivers to get...
The route is being calculated.
Well, that's nice.
The route is being calculated.
I should have brought my pliers out here. There we go. You can see it's a little press-on doodad there. Nothing too exciting. And that's what I bought as a replacement. I may have to take this plastic housing off, though. Which I'm going to have to do. The antenna I'm trying to use to fix things is just a generic GPS antenna. I pulled it off of Amazon for about $6. There are a bunch of different connectors you can get, but because I know that this is a push-on connector and not a screw-on, I think the appropriate term is called a FARCA connector. It might stand for something. See in my beautiful fingers here, they look about the same. It's a little bit thicker on one of them, but they're still kind of the same press-on setup, with the insulated connector in the middle and then a big grounding setup on the outside. So here's our magic connector again. You see, to get it apart, you pull that little plastic piece out, the gray plastic piece there, and then hopefully I'll have a connector that I can use. Ta-da, and it just pulled right off. How about that? Now to see if I can actually get a GPS signal in this thing. So sad trombone. It looks like the nav unit is toast. You see there's no signal for the GPS there on the GPS under the car there, the little icon. I have this brand new fresh GPS antenna. You saw me taking it apart so it would fit. It did pop on. It fits on there cleanly and beautifully, and still no dice. Only thing left to do is maybe reboot it one last time and see if it comes back, and maybe it'll work with the new antenna plugged in, and if not, we'll see what the hell happens. So I could try pulling the other mess of wires out of the back here. However, on the back of most units, you see there's a fuse here. I'm just going to pull the fuse out, which will probably reset the whole nav unit, which is fine. I'm going to have to dig out the radio code, which I have, because these cars have a radio code, so no one steals it, and we'll see what the heck happens. Well, pulling the fuse worked. Notice there's my card, and I got to enter my code. So let's see if I can do this correct. It is 0 2 7 9. All right, so it came back. I got the right code at least, so steps in the right direction. If I go over to my map and compass, that's not very promising. I'll press navigation again. I do map and compass, and I press on it again, and see, here it is. The GPS little satellite dish there has got no love, and I'm not facing 68 degrees. I'm facing west. North should be to my right, and that's way off because I'm probably 0 degrees or 1 degree west of Greenwich because of where I am in relation to London. And we're definitely not south. We're definitely minutes north of the equator. So it's a little bit confused as to where we are. So this really cheeses me off. What was supposed to be an easy first repair completely failed. Replaced the GPS antenna with one that should work, and still getting no GPS signal, so my nav doesn't work, which makes me sad. I may just shell out and get a more modern nav system for this, which plugs in and works. Ideally, it'll be something that works with a steering wheel, but my steering wheel is missing controls, and I want the steering wheel controls because I'm used to that in most of my cars. Even my piece of shit Mini had steering wheel controls, and that's useful. I like that kind of convenience, and this clearly doesn't have that. See here, I will show you. See, my naked steering wheel. It is missing buttons. It should have buttons on it. The car does have everything else, though. I mean, it has cruise control, the music works, the radio works, the dual zone climate control works. I haven't tried out the CD changer yet, but I assume that would work okay. I even added in my aftermarket dash cam because that helps here. Unfortunately, I need to run some new wires for that, so it doesn't look like I live in an electrical closet. But we're getting along. I have a whole set of mods, though, I want to do to this, other than just the steering wheel. The air suspension works fine. The timing belt was done about 25,000 miles ago. The air suspension has a newer compressor and newer shocks on it. They were done sometime in the past 4 or 5 years. So it's safe there, even with 175,000 miles on it. But what I want to do is get some larger sway bars to help it a little bit more in the corners. I know that's a mod some other people have done in the past, and fairly easy to do, and adds for some more structural stability. Also looking to see if I can find RS6 brakes for this. The RS6 calipers and discs should be larger than stock. Give you a little extra stopping power, which would be nice to have. So that would be the start there. And then, of course, with the lovely 2.7T twin turbo engine, you can add chips galore. Since it's the same engine from the S4, definitely do a little bit more with the chips in it and get a little bit more horsepower out of it. Finally, the exhaust. It is a kind of tame car. It is not a performance car. It's designed as a tame station wagon or estate or touring, depending on what verbiage you want to use. One of the big mods for the S4 engines were what was once called piggy pipes. The catalytic converters in this are a 2-stage setup, so there's a first stage, which is almost immediately after the engine, and a second stage a little further on. The first stage, you can safely hollow them out and gain some horsepower because it reduces the back pressure against the turbo and get the air a little bit more free-flowing. So that could be a nice mod to have. It gives a little bit more throaty exhaust. And then on this, I'd be looking at maybe some cherry bombs or getting rid of the back box so it sounds a little bit more exciting. Make it sound more like an F1 car versus a family estate. Also add a little horsepowers here and there. You know, you can't complain too much. So there's a suspension, there's the brakes, there's the exhaust, and then interior and comfort, the steering wheel, and changing out the stereo at this point, because if this nav unit's bust, it's probably, and this is an older nav unit, runs off of CDs, it doesn't run off of DVDs, and even though it works, you know, when they do work, they work okay. Maybe looking at something like an Android head unit with built-in Bluetooth,
maybe even a backup cam or something, because this is a relatively large vehicle, especially for the UK. Roads here can be kind of narrow. So that's it for the first video. Next one, I may add, I ordered an aux in for this unit, assuming that the nav would start working on it. I may still add that in the short term. I got to look at my budgeting and see what I can afford. I'm not one of these fancy YouTubers like Hoovy or Tavarish with unlimited funds. This is a 1,300 pound car, which means it's under 1,700 US dollars. I'm a poor immigrant. I mean, obviously, I'm an American living in the UK. It isn't necessarily cheap to live here, but at least I don't have to worry about going bankrupt over medical bills. So steps in the right direction there, I guess. I'll talk to you guys later. Take care, and I'll see you soon.